I'll put you for your chair so that you can sit. Everybody only want to do that here? Yeah.
Let's sit on the end. Yeah, I should have.
One hell of an art. I'm holding it.
Here's the test.
You should sit on 5 chairs. Just sit on
Microphone.
Is us, right? Okay. Hi, everyone. So we thought this was tomorrow, so sorry we're a little late. It's cool. Alright. Sorry. Also, awesome spring. Just like, love that show. That's so good. Hi, I'm Liz. I'm going to do Lizard cosplay. I'm just going to spontaneously lead this because why? Oh my. Okay, we're good. I'm going to go, I guess, from left to right and have everybody introduce themselves.
Yes, hi. I'm Hoku Props. I'm based out of Los Angeles, California, and I'm really excited to be out here in Florida. I've been prop making now for about 9 years, off and on, but I've been building stuff really since I was a kid. You know, I was lucky because my parents were always very encouraging of me to really just kind of delve into creativity. And my dad was a carpenter and a painter and all sorts of different stuff. So I really just grew up encompassed with the arts and whatnot. So it was a pretty quick transition into, hey, I'm a nerd, hey, I like to make stuff, hey, let's make costumes and stuff. Yes, next, hi.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a cosplayer from the Netherlands in Europe. I've been cosplaying for 8 years now, and next to cosplay, I'm a theater designer, which means I make costumes for a living, just not cosplay costumes. For example, I did some costumes for The Lion King, I did some costumes for editions like Hans Klok. Yeah, I'm basically a cosplayer in theater. In Europe, I do a lot of cosplay competitions, like the WCS. I represent the Netherlands a few times in European cosplay competitions. And aside from my theater work, I do a lot of cosplay commissions for people.
I'm Liz again. I go by Leaping Lizard Cosplay. I've been cosplaying since 2007. I'm out of Florida originally. In my real life, I'm actually an emergency support meteorologist for the government. So I'm a nerd, yeah, and I love cosplay. I got into it with some friends just to like have fun and pretend to be Tony Chopper from One Piece, and then here I am like a gajillion years later still doing it. So a lot of my background, I used to do a lot of competition-based, replication, and skit-based. I'm a cartoon character, I try to. So, but yeah, feel free, unless you guys may have some questions after we go through this, go ahead and ask us. I'm going to pass it over to these amazingly talented Orlando vocals.
Oh, hello. Can you hear us fine, by the way? Before we continue talking? There you go. Hi, I'm Chiefy. I go by Chiefy Creates. I'm a Florida-based cosplayer. I've been doing cosplays on and off since 2003. I'm fortunate enough to cosplay full time. I do commissions mostly. Recently I had the opportunity to make Torbjorn's voice actor his armor for BlizzCon. Yeah, I love this hobby, and if you guys have any questions, if you came to my table, you know I love talking about making stuff, so feel free to ask.
It's my turn. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kaye, and I go by Kaye Cosplay. I'm a local Orlando cosplayer, and I've been cosplaying since like 2004-ish, so like 13, 14 years now or so. I like to do a lot of costumes that are big and girly and fluffy with rhinestones and sparkles, and that's what I really, really like to do, so that's the type of costumes I kind of like specialize in. When I'm not cosplaying, I work for Walt Disney World, and I am a costumer for the Magic Kingdom. So that means I help create and support costume development for their new like shows and parades and things like that. So I'm very fortunate that I was able to start cosplaying like in middle school, and now like I do it for a job. So it's really fun. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So yeah, I'm like the only one that's like part-time. I mean, yeah, so I do science and then I sew when I get home. It's great. So, but everybody's like legit, so I'm just the comic relief I try. It's like, yeah, I mean, I got something going. I know the weather, let me tell you, it go rain. Thanks, Ollie. It's true. But yeah, do you guys have any questions for us? Anything you're interested in knowing about specifically? Yes, sir. In the front, she's coming with you with a microphone.
Oh, wow. All right.
Bam! Wow, this is get you like high def. I think I heard him whisper trapdoor, but I think I'm just hearing stuff.
Okay.
Whoa!
Sensitive.
What's your name, sir?
Cody.
Hi, Cody. Hi.
Recently this year, I started getting guest spots at local conventions in my area. So I really wanted to ask, like, for Hoku Props and everybody here that does, cosplay full time, how did you decide that making cosplay a full-time thing and doing a part-time thing? When was that time that you guys like decided, okay, I can do this full-time now?
You go ahead, start. Yeah.
So I actually had a panel earlier about crafting your hobby into a profession. And the thing you have to understand is when we say we cosplay full time, really what it is we have things that are relating to cosplay that we are utilizing to make income, whether that's making trinkets or patterns or books or commissioned costume pieces. I think the big thing to really kind of think about is, A, is it something that's going to pay the bills, and B, is it also going to be enough for you to live relatively comfortably? And those are things that if you just look at your budgeting and you see what the numbers are, oftentimes you can figure out a way to kind of diversify those projects, and you see if you can live off of it. It's just definitely important to make sure that you are approaching it in a manner that is going to actually have a return on that investment. You know what I mean? So like for me, what it was is like, I really wanted to make costumes and all that, but even to this day, like, I really don't do just costumes. Like, I get approached to do all sorts of 3D model projects, whether it's for costumes or even for like medical, military, all different stuff. And so that's the thing to do is, what's really nice about cosplay is so much of the skills that you're learning can be utilized for other things. And so just don't necessarily constrain yourself to just cosplay. You know what I mean? Because then you're gonna have a much better time really actually being successful. I don't know, does that help? Cool.
And the thing is, a lot of people know cosplayers get invited to conventions and then they have a booth where they sell prints. That's maybe 1% of your income. Don't forget, you also have to pay the photographer, you also have to pay for the prints. That's not an income. For cosplayers, even commissions will not, most of the time, not be a full income, because it's really expensive for most people to do a commission. Like Chad said, doing other stuff, which is still costuming and making costumes, but it's not necessarily cosplay. That's, I think, the best, or not the best way, but the easiest way to live off making costumes.
So despite my casualness, I actually track everything. I have like QuickBooks, self-employed, every receipt I spend, every dollar towards gas, every spool of fabric, like everything of fabric that I buy. I literally budget everything. I actually put every dollar, I'm open about like how much I put everything to with it. So this year I've made 20 grand in cosplay, but I've spent 20 grand in cosplay. So and with that, I'm doing my own photography now, so I'm actually at the point now where I want to transition to doing like photo shoots and stuff, like shooting other cosplayers and working towards doing video editing and things like that aside from hobby. So I literally put every penny back into it. So it's not my main income, but I try to literally put it right back into it and go back into it. But having the discipline too, like what was really hard for me when I first started doing shows and things was, hey, you know, you need to do prints. And I'm like, wait, what's that? Wait, what? You know, that like, there was a weird transition to me. Like, wait, photos of myself? Like, who's gonna buy that garbage? You know what I mean? You know, it's just one of those things. So I started doing that, the prints, and then I started that, and then like, oh, people would be like, hey, can you commission this product? Cool. And then once I started following social media, people were like, will you promote our product? We'll give you the product, we'll give you money to promote our product. So it just started to build into this thing. And then like, it got to the point where I'd be a social media content creator as well, like promoting other people's products, and it just kind of grew into this thing. But I keep all my receipts, I file my taxes now, you know, it's like an actual business, like I'm on taxes. But one thing I really recommend is talk to somebody you trust too, like somebody you know who's done it and who will be open with you about like, hey, check a look at my contract, like what do you think, you know, there's plenty of like template ones out there. And even with photographers and conventions, everything, get it all on paper, know what your duties are, and you know, like, know where you gotta be at a certain time. Handles it. But you know, things like that, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you got that down, be a professional, you know, always like, I'm grateful enough that I get invited to these and I get to represent this community and more of a business professional side as in addition to being a weirdo, an awkward, socially awkward extrovert. So I really tried to broadcast that. I'm an open book. Somebody goes, hey, where do you get prints? Oh, here. What's your contract like? Go ahead and take a look at it. Like, I'm an open book about that. Some people are really cool. Other people are very private. Some people are not going to talk about how much they make. Like, my Patreon's public. You can see how much I make. You know, like, I'm very open. I don't like to be transparent. Like, I like to be as transparent as possible about the process. Because, again, it's not my main thing. And we have another amazing talented cosplayer that just joined us.
There was a little bit of a miscommunication, but I'm here now.
Phil.
Okay, well, the cosplay thing? I've been cosplaying. What do I do?
Who are you?
Okay, my name is Phil. I've been cosplaying for about 4 years now. And I've been cosplaying full time for about a year and some month or two now, so it's still kind of new. Well, the question was like how you can turn it into.
It's like
something.
he's starting the guest room.
Gotcha.
He's like, what do you do?
I think the biggest thing, if you're looking to be a guest and how to differentiate yourself in like a big sea of people, is your branding. Because cosplay isn't just about how good you are at crafting and sewing and all that stuff. Like you can be amazing, but it's also about how you brand yourself. And I think my biggest slogan for myself is that I don't think I'm that great at a lot of things. But what I am really proud of is that I can show how much I love cosplay to other people through my photos. Even though I'm not the best at making armor, like these guys are incredible. Like I should not be sitting up here with them. But I think that if you can translate something like cosplay and you can show people that you don't have to be the greatest in order to be successful, that also can inspire other people, and that kind of gives you a little bit of an edge on others. The other thing that I tried is the branding. So if you see like some of the things I have, it's not just prints and stuff. Like I like to make like plushies and like pins and like things like that. And I think that in itself is a little bit different than what everybody else can do. So if you're looking to get like a little bit of an edge, try branding yourself as something.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I Twitch and I'm a Twitch streamer.
Yeah,
so true. I have the Gecko Army, like because I'm linking Lizard and also Gecko Selfie. Like it's like a thing, so that I do with my followers. Like they're cool peeps. They're my family, you know. So.
I think cosplaying, like when people think of how you translate it into business, they just think of you going to a convention as a guest. But there's so many other revenues that you can go through, like you said, Twitch streaming, Patreon, your merchandise, working with companies. Like it's not just guesting. So a lot of people try and tunnel vision like I want to be a guest, and that's my end game. But you can branch off into so many other things. So just think of doing one thing. Think of like how much you can touch with your octopus tentacle in social media. Sorry,
Very.
I was fortunate enough to be able to do this full time. I never thought I would be able to do it full time. You always have that self-doubt, like I'm not as good as this person or this person. It's really amazing to see when you start doing commissions, you start doing it full time, how much you grow. It's incredible. Like if I were to look at stuff I did, my first commission, I'd be like, this is terrible. Why would someone want to buy this from me? But it's like the person is ecstatic to get your work. It's really how you sell yourself, and it's also how passionate you are about what you make. Like, I don't want to buy a 3D print from someone who's just doing it because, hey, I found the file and now I'm going to start selling 3D prints. I like people that actually take the time to make it and put the detail, that's stuff that I'm looking for, and it really shows. So that's really important to me also. I'm not a big commissioner or anything like that, but people do pass on what you do to other people, and just some things just fall into your lap. You're like, how is this happening? This is amazing. So it's never gonna be quick. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of patience. And I think that's the thing too, when people forget, is you need to be patient with this. It is art. You're not going to be perfect at it. Everyone is different. Don't compare yourself to someone else. Go ahead. Be our guest. I'll leave. So I'm a little different from these other very talented people, where I do not have the ability to be a full-time cosplayer, but it's a choice for me. I really enjoy what I do at Disney, and I don't believe I would be able to fully commit myself 100% to having cosplay being my only source of income, just because I love my job so much. So I don't have very much experience in doing it, for an income and for a living. But I'm really happy to get to do the opportunities that I have been given, just based on the work that I produce. So I do this for fun, I do it for a hobby, and I enter contests, I'm competitive, I do the craftsmanship things, and I've been noticed for those awards that I've won and things like that. But yeah, so I'm a little bit different, but it's really nice. So cosplay's fun.
Since commissions were brought up, know your worth. That's what I'm gonna say. Straight up, know your worth. Know what your experience is worth. Okay. If I'm gonna go and do a costume for somebody, and they're like, "Hey, I want this costume." Okay, so that's gonna take me 40 hours to make, at $20 an hour, $200 materials. That'll be $1,000. And I'm like, I ain't making this for free, but I got taxes to pay. So it's just one of those things. I like to tell people, too, if you're a commission-based person, write up a contract, have the deadlines, what is agreed upon, take a deposit. By this time, this will be done. By this time, this will be done. You get this many modifications to your design. I've done the commissioner. I'm not the biggest fan of it because it's very stressful. Some days you just don't want to work on them. Come home, just rest, and you're like.
And also, if you do commissions for people, make sure you have a payment plan, that you won't get stuck with your costume and they're not paying you. Because that's all your hours of work for nothing, all your money for materials for nothing.
We
So
were
make
literally
sure,
talking about this in our hotel.
yeah. But make sure that what I do, if I make fabric costumes, I will not start on the costume, I will not buy fabrics until I have my first payment from the customer. Because I will use that first payment just for materials. So if they will cancel the commission, I will not lose anything. It just means I have free materials for another person.
Yeah, I think I'm a materials and half upfront kind of person. So, and then as we get through, I'm like, okay, how's this coming along? You like it? Okay.
Never pay for the commission yourself to
Yes.
just to get it done.
And that makes sense too. Even if you don't do commission, you're yes, know your worth. Your time is valuable. generic booth babes at a regular expo is $300 a day. So I mean, like that's like very baseline things, like things that people don't ask about or do or know. And you know, working at small cons is one thing though. A lot of people have very small commit. I mean, I got my start at small cons, and I would just be like, yeah, give me a table, I'll be there. You know, like that's what I did for so long. Yeah. Like once you
we'll give you a table. And
exactly. So like now I have a resume. Like, look at all these shows I've done. Look at all these panels I've done. Here's my rates. You know, I'm cheap so. You know, and so it's just one of those things. And you know, you work out the marketing too. Like one show, I was doing their social media post every day, and they gave me $5 a day to just post on their social media for 3 months up to the con. I was like, oh, take the photos. You know, like it was just one of those things. Like you can work these things out, get a feel for it. But if you're like walking in day one, like, ooh, give me $500 a day, you know, like no, hold the phone, buddy. Hold the phone. What you know? You know, like it's just one of those things. You gotta like walk around and be a professional, get your experience, and even those who want to be guests one day too, volunteer at cons, hold panels at cons, get to know people, talk to the people at the cons, be like, hey, talk to other guests, be like, how can I do this? How do I get into this? Like you asking right now is just a great step forward. Like and having those questions, and you know, a lot of us are pretty sure about it. So, other thoughts?
Actually, so I have a suggestion, and it's something that I think can actually really aid you in becoming more successful. And one of the things is to actually have a base minimum price for anything. So if you have a starting rate, if somebody were to come to me and say, hey, I want a circle, I want a 1 inch by 1 inch circle, I would quote them my base rate, which is for props and costumes, $500. And what that does is it gives them the requirements that if they want me to make something, they need to bring work to me that is actually relevant. But the other thing is, you know, we've been in that position before, we all have, where it's like, well, I really need the money, so like, I'll do something for cheaper. And the problem is that doesn't give you something that is really going to be like good for your portfolio. And so if all you're doing is ever basically just like busting your butt to get enough money to survive the day, it's not ever going to give you something that's a showcase piece. And that's not going to get you corporate work, it's not going to get you higher commission work. And so you really, in the end, I've been asked the question before, like, well, how do I do this? And it's like, you might actually be better off going out and spending some of the time that you would do working on the smaller pieces, get a part-time job so you can stay stable and get yourself in a really, really good position to actually become successful with it. And that's really, really, really good showpieces. It's just, it shows what you can do, you know?
I'd say networking is a big part too. Now there's a difference between networking and not networking. You guys know what I'm saying right now. There's a difference between networking and being like, you know, it's just, you know, it's a fine line socially as well. You know what I mean? Like, some people are super laid back, and then some people, they've been around, and unfortunately bad people kind of like just use them repeatedly. There's a lot of jaded people, unfortunately. It happens. Because everybody wants to be best, you know? And I'm just like, I'm here all just like super costumes, so okay, let's be friends. Yeah, so like I'm just like super laid back about it. I don't have that issue really. But I know some people probably can attest to that kind of like feeling. But people who are genuine and honest and friendly, like, you're gonna go far. As long as you're genuine and you care about other people, I think everybody here is that kind of person. You know what I mean? So.
What would you change if you could change one thing about the community?
Okay.
Dude.
Good question.
Which community?
Yeah, there you go.
Cosplay? Prop making?
What? Yeah.
Okay.
4chan.
My thing.
Oh God.
There you go.
My thing is that when I was first getting into cosplay, it was really intimidating, and it still is to put yourself out in a community that you're not familiar with. And it's really unfortunate that I think all of us have heard something along the lines of if you don't make your own cosplay, you're not considered a real cosplayer. And I think that's like this weird social stigma that the cosplay community has, that you have to make everything yourself.
Or if you do sexy cosplay,
Or whatever kind of cosplay you do.
Yeah.
So it's actually like a little bit of an insecurity of mine as well, because sometimes if I go to a con and like I'm wearing something like this, like obviously I didn't make like a suit like this, but I think that it's kind of like a little piece of advice in itself, is that if you love a character, no matter which way you cosplay it, as long as you feel good and you can make other people feel good, that's the right way to cosplay. And I think having that social stigma of you have to make everything yourself needs to go in order to get more people involved with the community. And I think like a lot of people in panels as well, they're always like, well, how do I get into it? Or how do I do this? Some of my favorite cosplays are literally just going to H&M and like wearing like something casual with a wig. And you're still cosplaying something that you really love and means something to you, and it means something to other people as well. Like, you're not just wearing a costume. Just think of how many people will see you in your costume, and how many lives, like, you won't like change your life forever, maybe you will, but you can affect so many people in a small way just by wearing a costume, and a lot of people don't realize that. So I think as long as you cosplay and you feel good, and you're doing positive things for other people, that's literally why you should cosplay, and that's how you should wear it.
And I think the thing that I would love to change in this community, which fits in very well with what everyone else is saying, I would love to change the competitive when you're not competing thing.
Yeah.
If you see someone in the same costume as you, that's a reason to go up to them and talk about your favorite character.
Yeah.
You love the same things, just like socialize with them.
Listen, I just gotta say this. So, with cosplay, you know, they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but I might tear up a little bit. But cosplay, you can. When you see somebody cosplaying something that you like or you know, you instantly have that connection. You're like, oh shit, you like that too? You know, oh my god, it's so great. Like, it's such a beautiful community. And unfortunately, you know, most people are like, you do cosplay? And they're like, normal people? They're like, that's weird. And I'm like, no, I know, it's so love. You know, we all have each other. Like, we all love the same thing. Like, why tear each other down about it? You know, it's unfortunate, and just telling somebody they did a good job, you know, even if it's like hot glued together, made out of cardboard, you know, it's like, holy shit, you did awesome.
It could make their day, you know. It has always been a community of people who are outcast in like day-to-day life. So this is their chance to meet people that have the same interests and that go through the same things that they do. So for someone like that to get a compliment on their costume can make their whole week. So if you see someone and you like their stuff, just go up to them and say, oh, I like your costume. That's enough. That's enough to bring positivity into this community.
Yeah.
I hate, like I said this before too, I hate when someone compares you with another cosplayer. It drives me crazy. It's not fair. Everyone's a different level. And we all started as that person that was like, I love this character, I just want to cosplay them. Like, I was talking to someone earlier about when I started doing cosplay, and we had Party City wigs, and we're like, oh, this is so cool! I look amazing! And now you look at it now, and you're like, oh no. But it's not fair to the person you're saying it to, and it's just not fair to everyone else. Just don't do that. It may sound like it's a compliment, but it's very backhanded to me.
And of course, the same goes for the people who compliment you. Because the compliment of, oh, you're such a better, for example, Alice than the other Alice I saw today, that's not a compliment.
No.
It's just a rude thing to say.
You're my favorite, Alice. Okay, that's fine. You're not comparing me to somebody else, but if you're like, oh my gosh, you did such a better job with this person, it's like, hey man, like, I know you said that to me, but that's not really a cool thing to say.
And I know I had it happen when it was my best friend who wore the same costume. I was like, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Screw you, that's kind of mean.
I had a guy once say to me, you really fit into your costume. And I was like, what? What does that mean? What does that mean? I worked out, okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I don't like the stigma against, I started doing modeling stuff too. I have a couple new cosplays. I have really elaborate dresses. I have these, and then I have like bathing suits. So I do a wide, broad spectrum, but sometimes people only see that side and just make an assumption of you. Like, you might just like a bag of chickens and throw them on. I'm like, no, I actually so simple. You know, it's one of those things that you never know. You know, it's unfortunate, but.
So I think for me, this might be coming just from like a deep personal place. But I think the things that I would change would be that to be a good cosplayer, you have to look exactly like the character. And that is never ever going to happen, because like 90% of the time when you're cosplaying, it is a drawing of a cartoon character. Like, it is an animated cartoon. Like, you will never look like something that's on a TV screen, you know? So if you just like work really hard and try to like, you know, bust your ass trying to like make a really great costume, and then somebody comes up to you and is like, yeah, but I mean, like, you don't look like them. I'm like, you got the wig and you got the whatever, but like, you don't look like them. It's like, hello, like, I'm this character. Like sure, my face doesn't look like that drawing, but like, that's totally fine. Like, I've got the outfit, I've got the cool makeup on that they've got, I've got this wig, like, I made this cool prop. Like, that's cosplay. Like, that should be enough. Like, people need to understand that you are a human person and not two humans are alike. Like, everybody has a different body shape, everybody has a different facial structure, like, every single person looks different, and you are never going to look like you jumped off of a drawing, you know, out of your manga book or whatever. So it's a little frustrating sometimes. Like, if you put a lot of effort into, you know, portraying a character, your cosplay, and then somebody comes up and, you know, kind of gives you that criticism, it can be hurtful because you put a lot of work into it. And so I think people need to definitely kind of like change that mindset that you have to look perfect in order to be a good cosplayer.
Oh, it's my turn to do it. All right, let's do this. So one of the things that I have started noticing more and more consistently, I tend to see people doing cosplays not for themselves, but for others. And what I mean by that is they're cosplaying something they see as popular, but it's not even something that they really have an emotional connection with. And the problem with that, for me at least, is that when you've been working on something for hundreds of hours and you hit a roadblock or you feel bad or you feel awful, it's that emotional connection with that character that really motivates you to push past that block. It's going to give you that extra little bit of oomph that you need to just stick to what you're doing. And it can be so immensely rewarding to stick with it, right? And finish. And then you show up at the con and you feel good about your costume and it's this character you love. But the problem you run into is if it's something that you don't really care about, it's not for you, all of a sudden that return isn't there, that gratification's not there. And so I tell people this a lot, and I've said it like 5 times today, but you know, you can compete in costumes and you can do that if you like. That's up to you. But at the end of the day, if you're cosplaying, you're not competing against other people. You're only ever competing against yourself. And that's because oftentimes we have this pressure to meet expectations that are external. And when we sit there and we convince ourselves that we have to do these things, it sabotages us. So it's something that you really have to think twice about. Is like, is this something that I really want? Because if it's not, then you shouldn't be doing it. You know, really just do something because you love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like, there's some costumes I do. Some I've heard from people like, okay, either you gotta jump on the hype train, or you gotta be the first one to cosplay this, or you gotta be the best one at this, and that's how you get popular. I'm just kind of like, have fun, man. Like, that's like my first real cosplay. Just have fun with it. Even if you're, you know, sewing last minute, like 3 hours before you have to leave to get a stupid zipper in the costume, you know, and you're like, you know, like, just have fun with it, even though it's very stressful. You know, it's just one of those things. If you're hired by a company to do something and you like don't like the character, you can still do it. Like, you know that, you know, you get paid. But I mean, there's people I've met who like, now don't get me wrong, I don't have emotional connection to Psychizo designs, but I love them, and I've like tried to like a million of them because they're beautiful. But you know, you do you, so you know what I mean. Okay, so I say, what time?
Got a question.
I don't know.
We've got 5.
We got 5 minutes? All right. Any other fun questions?
Sorry, we talk a lot. We talk about how great cosplay is.
Okay, what's your name?
It doesn't need to be a serious question.
I'm Rose.
Rose.
My question is for the wigs, like, what would be your best advice on like how to like get the right wig for your cosplay?
Oh my, wigs.
I haven't found that yet.
Yeah. We're still looking.
I really don't like wigs. I really hate wigs. Keep beautiful. But like, oh my gosh. I can't get my head around wigs. That was terrible. That was a terrible thing. Wow.
So passionate about it.
Okay, what are your
It's just
favorite?
like it's like I've seen people that are just so amazing at it as soon as they touch it, but I feel like that's their skill set. That's for them. It's gonna take time to get good at that. To get good.
I say buy some cheap eBay ones and destroy those first. and
Yeah,
that means
practice. Practice on
Practice.
really inexpensive wigs first, and move on from there.
YouTube. Oh man, you should see the many wigs that I've butchered in my day. It's brutal.
If you want to try
I gotta
something,
say, okay, so I think for me, I love Arda wigs.
Yes.
They're super thick, you get
Arda.
nice runs. Arda's awesome.
For big heads.
That's why. But at the same time, there are some characters that I feel like you don't want to buy a thick wig for. So, for example, like on Sunday I'm wearing Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, and I think if I got a thick wig, like it would just make my head look a little unproportional. So a lot of the times those cheap like Taobao, like Amazon, whatever wigs are actually really good options to use depending on the hairstyle. So obviously if you're gonna do like a style that's like up, you don't want to have all the lace or like the wefts showing because the thin wig you can't get the volume even if you tease it a lot. So if you're doing like a wig that has like lots of spikes or like volume or like you need a lace front, obviously invest in the wig. Like from Arda or like your cosplay wigs, it's a bit more expensive, but it's going to be a lot easier to style and it's going to look a lot better even if you don't do as much to it. And the other thing is that I think, well I can't really say anything for this because it's seen some days, but the less you can put into a wig sometimes, the better it's going to look. Because if you put too much product in the wig, it's going to look crunchy. And it'll get ruined like a lot faster, even if if you put less product in, it's going to have a little bit of a longer life. But there are a lot of YouTube videos that I've watched. There's also some really good wig commissioners that post videos of them. For example, I learned how to pluck a hairline through, there was a video on YouTube and they were styling lace front wigs, but it was for like real people. And they take like tweezers and they pluck a new hairline in a wig, and I was like, holy crap, that's how people do it. So a lot of like YouTube watching, because like when you see people do it, obviously you'll just soak it in faster. But yeah, I think it just depends on what character you're doing and the wig. But if you're gonna do a character for a long time, get a good wig. It's worth the
I definitely say like when somebody brings their wig A game, you're like, you know, like I've done ventilation with lace fronts and spent hours like doing a widow's peak. I've like radiant dyed wigs, I've layered wigs, got so much wig eyeball torches. Like you will mess them up. I spent 2 weeks on a wig once, and then I was like, this is awful, and I threw it all away. Mind you, it was never again. It was like spiral drill curls. So yeah, it takes practice like anything else, like sewing, like anything else. Some people are like very naturally talented. I think an Instagram person I follow religiously is Umbron Witch. I don't know if you guys seen her, but she is ridiculous, and she explains it so simply. Come hit me up, I'll give you her Instagram. She's great. She's a stick. Her wigs are perfect. You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen her? She's so good. She does like bayonetta wigs all the time. It's ridiculous. But yeah, wigs.
I would say if you want something a better quality than eBay, but a little bit less quality and price than Arda, there's this UK-based shop called Coscraft, and they have amazing quality wigs for their price. I think it's like $30. Trying to convert it to dollars in my head. Yeah, I think it's $30. And then you of course have the import because it's from the UK, but it's still a lot cheaper than most Arda wigs, and the quality is amazing. So that's a good step up from eBay wigs. I can also, the person I went to the WCS with, she's a competitor in the Iron Wig, and she was a competitor 2 years ago. So if you would want some personal questions, I can always give you her Instagram or something, but she's amazing with wigs. It's incredible.
You can actually even just go to a salon and put the wig on and be like, do this for me, and people will style it for you. And if you want to do that too, you just want to be like, what is this? You know, so that's an option as well. There's nothing wrong with that, you know.
I think a good pointer is to never expect your first attempt at styling a wig to be your best attempt. Very recently, I did a costume and I did like a Neptune wig from like Sailor Moon. And wigs are not my forte. I do not market myself as a wig person because I'm not very talented and skilled in wigs. But I was determined and I said, okay, I'm gonna do this wig for myself. So it was like 2 nights before the event that I was wearing it at. And I set the wig in the curlers and the rollers and I brushed it out, it looked beautiful. And I put it on my head and it was awful, I hated it. So I took it to the tub and I washed it out, I took all the curls out, took all the product out, put it back in the wig head, let it dry overnight, styled it again the next day, tried it again. Didn't like it. Went back in the tub, took all the product out, took all the curls out, everything that I worked on, like, you know, for 4 hours or whatever. The third try, I think, turned out okay. For what I can do, it turned out great, and I was very happy with it. I was very proud of myself, but and this is like for anything too, like prop making or sewing or, you know, whatever your craft is, don't expect to have a perfect, you know, finished product version at your first attempt. It's just practice makes perfect. Sometimes you just have to try it again and again and again until it becomes a place where you're comfortable with it and you're proud of your work. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta dump it in the tub and wash it out.
Don't wait the day of the con to attempt to style the wig.
I'm not doing that tonight.
We started that. Legitimately though, like my roommate's doing that right now. She's like, oh, so these lesson tonight. I'm like, oh, you're a good job. God's me. You know, like, yeah. Did you want to say anything about wigs?
I accept that I will never be good at wigs. I was very lucky to actually find a wig wizard, and now I'm going to marry her. Yeah. So that's just what I was saying. Yeah, especially for my cable costume, she actually patterned out my head and just built an entire wig. It was incredible. She ventilated for like 28 hours. I'm like,
yeah, but I guess that's time. Did you have a follow-up? Go ahead.
I just wanted to know, like,
What'd you say?
the exact place that you guys would recommend to buy
Yeah.
wigs.
Art wigs, Epic Cosplay wigs.
Wig is fashion.
Wig is fashion. Oh gosh, dude, wigs are so
you should check out Melinda Chan on Facebook.
Oh, Melinda.
She actually works for Arda,
Yes.
and I just throw lots of money at her. My wigs a lot of the time.
Also, I don't know, like, they sometimes they do wig commissions, and their stuff is, it's two sisters, and they make incredible wigs, and I'm pretty sure they do tour wigs too. Yeah. And that is like, they were like the first people I ever looked at stuff for wigs, and they've been doing it the longest.
If you want like really big, goofy, crazy wigs, I highly recommend Epic Cosplay. They're good for teasing and like big designs and long hair. And long wigs are just really hard to use. But if you're gonna go long wigs, I will a million to one say Epic Cosplay, Epic Cosplay, Epic Cosplay every time. Art is alright, but Epic Cosplay, very, very, very epic. They do. Oh no, Art has the best.
Epic Cosplay's got free shipping.
They do. And they're in stock.
As someone who's not able to get art wigs because I'm not from here, I say Coscraft because their wigs are amazing.
Actually, Easy Cosplay is pretty fun for like character wigs as well, like specific ones. Yeah. Amazon too, those cheap $20 wigs. And like I said, you can always take it to a salon and have them style it for you. That's always really nice. So.
Okay, we got one last quick question. Name?
Hi, my name is Micah. I want you to answer this question in one sentence or less. What is the most horrifying and embarrassing cosplay you've ever done?
That's a bad question. I started to black out when you said that.
Sorry.
Worst. Okay. Okay, we don't talk about, don't you Google this, alright? Alright? I tried to do Merman from He-Man, and I tried to make this armor in one day, and I was like, I'm He-Man! And I was like running around, the armor was falling off of me. It was my first breastplate. One boob was like this big, it was like this. It was my first time ever. We don't talk about it. People are like, oh, that's such a good photo. Where's the photos of it? We don't talk about it. There's a music video of me in it, and I'm I'm like, So it's my nightmare costume to this day because I literally made like a Warbler breastplate like on the floor with my hand punching a boob. It was awful. It was awful. I don't like talking about it. I still have PTSD about it. We don't talk. My makeup was on point and I was blue and that was about it.
It was actually part of like a friend's commission, and I was like, I'm gonna do it with him. It was Iris from Mega Man, and it was my first ever Evaphone experience, and I hated it so, like, I had no handler or anything like that, and I'd been working so hard on it, and I had no connection to the character at all. I was just like, I want to be with him, this is cool. Every time I looked at that costume, because I worked on it for so long, I would just get like heart palpitations because I hated it. So I was like, you're going right in the trash. And it's heartbreaking because, yes, it is work that you did, and I would never sell it to a person because I hate it so much. Like, I feel like that would travel with the person. So, yeah, and there's like, I try not to have any photos of it up either. It's just like, it's dead to me.
So once upon a time, Sammy cosplayed as Boomer from the Rowdy Rough Boys from Powerpuff Girls. But it was from like the Japanese version of Powerpuff Girls. And it was not a proud moment. I don't know, like, it's good, it's good. I do not do male cosplays very well, and that was my first and last male cosplay. So we'll just save that.
Oh, okay, I'll try and do the one sentence. Okay, okay. Chat noir, very tight bodysuit skinny. Yeah. Period.
It just like looks like, yeah. No, you can't repeat it, but it's just like super lumpy, and I was like,
I can see it from a distance.
You can see like where I like knuckled it, like. Yeah, we don't talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
And also that's a blue costume because it fits with my story. I cosplay Dark Necrofer from Yu-Gi-Oh! Which is kind of like a dark demon type of person. And it has a bald head, it has Skrayla contacts, it has prosthetic eyebrows and blue body paint. Which means it takes 4 to 6 hours to get into that costume. But it also has a prop, it has a baby. So I had a baby with me. It got worse. But the thing is, the baby was so cool that I spent 6 hours getting into makeup and no one looked at my face, they only looked at the baby. And you're standing there like, I had so much work this morning putting on this costume. And everyone's like, oh, I like your baby. Thank you. And making the costume was also very fun because that was the time I was still working at the store. And then my boss asked me, like, what did you do this weekend? And I was like, I made a baby. Which is not a good thing to say to your boss. But it was a very confusing few months.
Now we need to know your horror story.
I don't really have any bad horror stories. I mean, I have silly costumes. I think the silliest thing I've ever done is a henchman from the Venture Brothers. And so I would just run around having fun and I just couldn't see it.
I had a great costume that I loved. I did Wii Fit Trainer, but I like covered my body in Posay and baby powder. I was white from head to toe. And then I was going to like a bachelorette party that night. And I literally had I had my husband and my girlfriend literally scraping this off of me, throwing rubbing alcohol over my body in the shower going, ah! Like the entire time trying to get it off of me, and I had white all over me. I looked really crazy. And I got charged $300 for my Airbnb because I destroyed that bathroom, man. Good Jags. That was great. Thanks guys for coming.
I'm not sorry for asking that question.
Leaping lizard cosplay, leaping off.
Oh, is this a social media clip?
Yeah.
I'm doing Mizuno on everything.
I'm Chiefy Creates on everything.
And I am Kaye Cosplay. That's K-A-Y-E, not just like no, K-A-Y-E. It's my middle name. That's where I got it from.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Alright, next up we have Sailor Geek Cosplay. They're coming out as variant from the Tangled series.
Next up, we have Spec and Jess as Bakugo and Deku from My Hero.
Alright guys, next up we have the Past Pearl coming out from Steven Universe, and this is going to be...